What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Opposition Preview. For this one, I'm joined by a very special guest. John from TheAnfieldWrap is joining us to look ahead to the game on the weekend against the Reds. As always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. John, thank you for joining me. Let's start with yesterday's game. Look, Champions League against AC Milan. I know it ain't 2005, but I know it didn't finish 3-3, but it finished 3-2, and it was an absolute madness. I only managed to watch the highlights, but even by looking at social media, what people were saying and watching the highlights as well, you must be buzzing after that.
Yeah, we're all buzzing here at the TheAnfieldWrap today. It was a really good performance and a really good win. And it's nice to start off in the group stages with a nice home win. You know, the game itself, we started incredible, and then I thought, we're gonna steamroll them here, but didn't sort of put our chances away, and then they sort of came back into it sort of before half time. Well, more so, sort of went ahead. So it's a bit of a roller coaster game, but they got the job done. They got the win, and yeah, it was a brilliant night. So just great. You know, to be back in grounds, you know, isn't it, for all of us this season? And the first European one was a big sort of one to look forward to. And yeah, it didn't disappoint. I think it is fair to say.
So, as I asked you before we started this, what are your expectations for this season? When you're talking about the Champions League, you're talking about the Premier League, I don't think guys are giving you the respect that you deserve. I mean, last season wasn't the greatest of season for you guys, but it was COVID. You did have arguably one of the best players in the Premier League, forget about the best defender, out. You had other problems as well. What is the mood like amongst the Liverpool fans going into the season? And so far, you had a great start in the Premier League. You haven't lost a game. You drew against Chelsea and you won the other games. So what are you guys thinking?
I think generally the mood's fairly mixed. I think I'm you know, there's a lot of us who are positive, and I'm really positive thinking going into this season, you know, remembering what we've achieved, you know, the last sort of few years. You know, you mentioned there last year, but it's still a very similar squad to the one that won the title, and obviously the Champions League the year before that as well. So, you know, there's plenty obviously who are very confident and feeling like, you know, it's challenging for honours this year is what we should expect, which is the Premier League, Champions League. You know, not saying guaranteed to win them, obviously, because there's a lot of other good teams, you know, around there as well challenging, but being, you know, in and around, you know, the teams who've got a really good chance of winning those trophies. There are some fans as well who are a little bit concerned about squad depth, and a bit concerned that we didn't really go into, you know, the market in the summer as much as some other teams did. You see sort of a lot of our rivals, if you like, spending big in the summer on really good players, and Liverpool, we got another centre half in, which we very much needed, but then sort of stopped there really, and sold sort of a few squad players as well. So I think some are a bit sort of worried that, well, if we get one or two injuries again, is the sort of depth there? But at the moment, you know, it's all looking good, and Liverpool are playing well, and yeah, it's been a good start to the season.
Yeah, in yesterday's game, I'm not too sure what happened because, as I said, I only managed to watch the highlights, but AC Milan scored 2 quick goals in quick succession. And also there was someone from our actual podcast who was watching the game saying that they did do a tactical change. So is there any weaknesses with you guys that we could potentially exploit on a weekend?
I think from a Liverpool point of view, obviously, you know, our fullbacks like to really bomb on and like to sort of get forward, and so sometimes leave a bit of space behind. So for your sort of pacey wide players, might sort of get a little bit of kind of joy out there, really, in the sort of vacant spaces. I think there was a couple of times where the midfield, they're still sort of getting used to each other a little bit. They haven't sort of played together too much because it was, you know, there's so many sort of injuries and things last year, and midfielders having to play sort of in defence. So there's a couple of times where we got sort of dragged out of shape a little bit, and they found a little bit of space, you know, pockets of space in between the sort of, you know, the midfield and the forwards. So, you know, for them, sort of our midfield and defence. And so, you know, player like Conor Gallagher, who likes to sort of, you know, pick up those space in those areas, might get a little bit of joy as well. But for us, it's been so far, you know, pretty good. We have been playing well. I think the key for us is taking our chances, really. If we take our chances on Saturday, we'll hopefully be okay. But if not, and we've been a little bit wasteful so far this season, Sadio Mane especially, then you know, you might get sort of hit on the counter, and some of your forwards might have a bit of joy.
Don't talk about Mane because he loves a goal against us. Don't worry, John. Even if he's in the worst form of his life, he's definitely going to be on a score sheet. No matter what happens, he's definitely going to be scoring against us. So there's no point talking about Mane. But one player that I do want to talk about is Virgil van Dijk. He was on a bench in the AC Milan game. Go on, give us the good news, John. He's not playing against us, is he?
I'm afraid he probably will, mate. I'm sorry about that. I think they're just being careful with him. Obviously, he's had that big, long injury. He was out for pretty much the whole of last season. And with the games, now coming thick and fast there for all of us, really, I think they're just being a little bit careful with him. So I'd imagine he'll be back in on Saturday, maybe alongside Joe Gomez, who played on Wednesday, and they might use this opportunity to maybe give Joel Matip a bit of a rest because he's in a similar position. Was out from December right through to the end of the season, and so I think they're just trying to be a little bit careful and trying to sort of rotate where they can, just to sort of make sure there's not any sort of reoccurrence of any problems.
So who do we watch out for? There's many quality players that you mentioned, but who's had a good start to the season that maybe that we don't know about because we don't watch Liverpool week in, week out? Or is it just the usuals with Salah just being on form and absolutely destroying teams? Or is it another player that maybe, in midfield or in defense? Who do you pick out that Palace should watch out for in this game from you guys?
Yeah, it's a really good question, mate. Obviously, Mo Salah's started fantastic, and he's a sort of brilliant player. I thought Thiago was excellent against Leeds, and he's one to maybe look out for because he had an up and down first season, and a few people saying, has he sort of settled? But he finished the season really strongly. This year, he didn't play the first few games because he came back late, so didn't have much of a pre-season. But he played against Leeds and was excellent. Then was back to the bench again tonight, which makes me think that he'll start against Palace. So expected a big game from Thiago. If he plays as well as he did against Leeds, then you guys will sort of certainly notice him. And then another one who's been a bit unsung this season so far is Joel Matip. And like I said, he might sort of drop out this season, but everyone's talking about Virgil, and I understand why. He's a superstar.
Yeah, exactly.
But Joel Matip alongside him has been excellent so far this season. So if he starts alongside Virgil, one to sort of look out for as well. But we'd like to think we've got sort of quality throughout the team.
Exactly. So looking at our side of things, I want to get your perspective on Palace so far this season. What have you made of us? What have you made of our summer bringing in Patrick Vieira? And realistically, what is your expectation for Palace this season? As a neutral, what do you think this Palace squad can achieve under Patrick Vieira?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, mate, because you guys were written off quite a bit in the summer, weren't you? In terms of because of the overhaul of the squad, really, and a manager coming in who's still a little bit sort of unproven, in terms of what he's sort of done so far. So I saw a lot of people, tip Palace to be one of the teams to go down, which sort of surprised me a little bit. But then I sort of understood maybe the arguments around, so as I say, so many players sort of, coming and going, and will they all sort of gel? But I watched the game against Tottenham, and I thought you guys were excellent. I really enjoyed it, and I thought, it was interesting sort of what you guys were doing. I thought there were signs as well that some of the forwards are still sort of getting to know each other and things like that. And so it hadn't quite clicked yet, but it was still working well. So I was really impressed with that performance against Tottenham. I thought it was a bold setup as well. It was almost kind of 4-2-4, wasn't it? But the guys, were causing them loads of problems. And I know Tottenham were poor, but you've got to give credit to Palace for sort of for taking the initiative. So. Yeah, I thought they played really well, and I think it'll be a tough game for us. It often is, to be fair, at Anfield. You guys have got a pretty good record at Anfield. Mid 2000s, you seem to be coming to win every year. So, and I think even a couple of years ago there was a great 4-3 game, wasn't there? Which went sort of both ways. And so, yeah, there's plenty of respect here for Crystal Palace because you guys have given us plenty of good games over the years, and as I say, wins in Anfield fairly recently as well. So yeah, I think everyone knows we'll be in for a fairly tough game, and if we underestimate you guys, then we might be in trouble.
You know what? Normally, you're right. You're right in terms of when we did first get promoted, there were moments with the 3-0 at Sellers Park. Yeah. There's other moments as well. Steven Gerrard's last game, we managed to win as well, but ever since we had Roy Hodgson, and we both had him as a manager, it wasn't too great. I mean, the results. You absolutely destroyed us 7-0. I think, what was it? Last time you played at Sellers. I know we're playing at Anfield now. Exactly. So it wasn't that. But I'll tell you this. I am looking forward to this game. And I think Palace fans are as well, because we've actually got a manager who wants to play football. And I think Jurgen Klopp, I don't think he'll be surprised because he's going to look into us and he's going to know how we're going to play. But I think he'll be more appreciative on how we will approach the game. I think we'll be more pressing rather than, just sitting back all game, trying to actually go at Liverpool, which is going to be a change for Palace fans and also going to be a change for Liverpool fans watching the game. But talking about some of the players from your side, let's talk about some of the players from our side. If you had to pick one Palace player to go in the squad, I know you got a great starting lineup, so I'm going to say squad instead of starting lineup. Who would it be? And let's not say Wilfried Zaha. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Let's not say Wilfried Zaha because that's what we get every single week. So who would you pick?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because Zaha's a superstar, and I love him as a player. And you feel like he would sort of fit really, really well into Liverpool's front three. But you're not allowing me to pick him, so that's fine. Do you know what? I've always liked Coyote as a player, and I thought that was a really good pickup from Palace. I've always sort of liked him, and he feels like a Jurgen Klopp player to me. He's a big presence. When you look at his stats and the numbers he racks up, it always sort of really impressive. He win the ball well. I think he'd suit pretty well into our pressing game, and so I'm going to go for Coyote. He's got a bit of versatility about him as well, hasn't he? He's played sort of different positions for you guys as well. So if I can't go Big Wilf, then I'll go Coyote.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not too sure if Coyote will start this game. He started so far, but he's changed roles. He used to be a centre-back for us last season under Roy Hodgson, and now in a Patrick Vieira system, the system has changed, and so has his role. He was a midfielder before he joined us, but he's a holding midfielder, and sometimes, I don't know, this might be a bit controversial to Palace fans watching this, but I'm not a massive fan of this in that system. Okay. Well, anyway, so far, but we'll see what happens. But talking about lineups, finally, let's have your lineup and score predictions for the game. And be honest with me. Let's see how you're actually feeling ahead of the game.
Okay, well, it'll be Alisson in goal. Obviously, Trent and Robertson are the fullbacks. I think you go through it again. Virgil will come back in, I'm sorry to say. And I think I'm going to go along with Joe Gomez. I think Joe Matip will get a rest for this. Midfield, you'll probably go Fabinho, Thiago come back in, and then maybe Henderson as well. So that's sort of three. Obviously, Harvey Elliott got the really bad injury, which is a shame. So he sort of drops out. But yeah, I think you'll go for Henderson, Thiago, and Fabinho. And then the front three, Sadio Mane was on the bench on Wednesday, but you've just convinced me to start him because he always scores against you guys. So we'll throw Mane back in along with Jota and Salah, and I think that's probably our strongest team at the moment. And I think he's going to rotate a little bit over the next few weeks, but we've got the League Cup to follow that in Norwich, where he'll be able to sort of make changes there. So I think it'll be the strongest team we have on Saturday. And yeah, I'm confident. We played really well last night. We're at home, so I'm going to go for the 3-1 Liverpool win.
Ooh, 3-1 Liverpool. I'm going for, my heart says 1-0, but my head says 2-1 Liverpool. But I'm not too sure of this Palace side because none of us really, apart from one person that I know, expected us to beat Tottenham in the manner that we did. Of course, they're Tottenham and you're Liverpool, and you're much quality than them at this point of the season. But yeah, I'll go for 1-0. Let's stick with 1-0. I think that's positive from me. In our preview show early on in the week, I did say 2-1 Palace. I was getting a bit carried away, but now that I saw you guys yesterday, I understand it's not going to be no Tottenham. So I'm going for a 1-0 draw. I'll be happy with a point away at Anfield. It's going to be a long journey there as well. I'll be going there. But John, how can everyone find you at the Anfield Wrap? If you want to have your final say before we go off.
Yeah, it's the Anfield Wrap. It's Wrap with a W, so WRAP, the Anfield Wrap. It's behind me on the video as well, spelled there. And it's it's that on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. We love chatting to opposition fans and stuff, so feel free to engage with us over the next few days. Let us know how you feel about coming up the game. And for those of you who come into Liverpool, hope you enjoy yourselves. Hope you enjoy the city. And hopefully it'll be a good game.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to everyone who's been watching this. Let us know in the comment section down below what you think about the game. Are you confident? Have your thoughts changed after you saw what happened in the AC Milan Liverpool game in the Champions League? Well, I'm sticking with a 1-0. Thank you to John who joined us. Make sure to check out the Anfield Wrap as well. And until next time, up the Palace.